In a small village surrounded by dry fields and broken roads, there lived a young boy named Arham. His father worked as a laborer, carrying heavy loads under the burning sun, while his mother stitched clothes late into the night just to earn enough money for food. Life was difficult. Every morning, Arham watched children from wealthy families walk to school with shiny bags, polished shoes, and cheerful smiles. Meanwhile, he walked barefoot on dusty roads, carrying a few old books tied together with a worn rope. Deep inside, Arham felt ashamed of his poverty. Whenever he placed his hands inside his empty pockets, he felt like life had already decided his future. He believed rich people were born to succeed, while poor people were meant only to struggle. One cold evening, Arham sat quietly near a small tea shop, watching people pass by. His stomach was empty because there was very little food at home that day. As he looked at the crowd, he whispered softly to himself, "Maybe poor people can never become successful." And an old man sitting nearby heard those painful words. The man had white hair, simple clothes, and calm eyes filled with wisdom. He slowly called Arham closer and asked gently, "Why do you believe that, my son?" Arham lowered his head and replied, "Because I have nothing, no money, no good clothes, and no opportunities. My pockets are always empty." The old man smiled softly. Without saying another word, he picked up an empty clay cup from the table and held it in front of Arham. "What do you see?" he asked. "A cup," Arham answered quietly. The old man shook his head. "No, it is not just a cup. Its real value comes from the empty space inside it. Without that emptiness, the cup could hold nothing." Arham looked confused. The old man continued, "Your empty pockets are not a weakness. They are simply space that can be filled with knowledge, courage, discipline, and dreams." Those words touched Arham deeply, even though he did not fully understand them at the time. Before leaving, the old man gave him one final piece of advice. Never cry because your pockets are empty. Fill your mind instead. A strong mind can build a beautiful life. That night, Arham could not sleep. Again and again, the old man's words echoed inside his mind. The next morning, Arham made a decision that would change his life forever. Since he could not afford expensive education, he decided to learn from every possible place. He borrowed old newspapers from shopkeepers. He stood outside classroom windows just to listen to teachers. He repaired torn books and studied late at night under a weak streetlight while the entire village slept. People laughed at him. Some boys mocked him, saying, "Books cannot fill an empty stomach." Others said, "Poor people should stop dreaming so big." Their words hurt him deeply, but Arham refused to quit. Every insult became fuel for his determination. Days turned into months, months turned into years. Soon, Arham became known throughout the village as the boy who never stopped learning. Even after working long hours during the day, he continued studying late into the night. Then one day, an important announcement changed everything. A large academic competition was being held in the nearby city, and the winner would receive a scholarship for higher education. Arham desperately wanted to participate, but fear filled his heart. He had no proper clothes, no confidence, and no money for travel. For a moment, he almost gave up, but then he remembered something important. His pockets had always been empty, but his mind was no longer empty. With courage in his heart, Arham borrowed simple clothes from a friend and walked several miles to the city. When he entered the competition hall, he felt completely out of place. The room was filled with rich students from expensive schools. They carried fancy bags, wore elegant clothes, and spoke fluent English with confidence. Arham suddenly felt small. One boy looked at his worn shoes and laughed quietly. Another whispered, "I think he came to the wrong place." Arham's hands began to tremble. But at that very moment, the old man's words returned to his mind. A strong mind can build a beautiful life. Arham closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and focused only on his knowledge. Then the competition began. Question after question, Arham answered with confidence and intelligence. Years of struggle, sleepless nights, sacrifice, and hard work had prepared him for this moment. Finally, the judges stood up to announce the winner. The entire hall became silent. Then the chief judge smiled and said, "First place goes to Arham." For a few seconds, Arham could not move. It felt unreal. Then loud applause filled the hall from every direction. Tears gathered in his eyes as he slowly walked toward the stage. The same people who had once laughed at him were now looking at him with admiration and respect. That scholarship changed his life forever. Years later, Arham became a successful teacher and motivational speaker. He traveled to villages and small towns, inspiring poor children to believe in themselves and never give up on their dreams. During one of his speeches, a young boy stood up and asked, "Sir, how did you become successful when you had nothing?" Arham smiled warmly. Then he placed his hand inside his pocket and replied, "I was poor, but my pockets were empty only of money. I never allowed my heart or mind to stay empty." The audience fell completely silent. Then Arham spoke one final lesson that touched every heart in the room. Money can disappear overnight, but knowledge, discipline, courage, and hard work stay with you forever. Never be ashamed of empty pockets. Be ashamed only of empty dreams. That day, many children returned home with a new belief inside their hearts, because they finally understood something powerful. Success does not begin with money. It begins with hope, determination, and the courage to keep moving forward even when your pockets are empty.